Welcome to the Old School Arctic Cats podcast.
Perfect.
Welcome to the garage, everyone. It smells like fumes over here. This tank must have a leak in it.
I just repealed the fuel pump with the original fuel pump. You know how it goes when you try to recycle.
How did that all of a sudden start working?
All of a sudden, when I hooked up the battery, it jolted it and it started spinning like a wild banshee.
I'm getting tethered up right now.
I don't have that option on this on my sled.
Yeah, you need a race sled.
I do have a mountain bar though, so I got you the beat on that.
That's true.
And I have an extra cylinder, and we all know how awesome that is compared to twins.
Gosh, I might just start this thing up and ride out of here the way I'm dressed.
It's ready to now. It wasn't a few hours or a few days ago.
I can't find anywhere to hook this.
Back then, tethers were for sissies.
Were these stock?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it says tether right on the dash. It's
Dang.
original.
Dang. Arctic Cat back in the day used to make some
What you really do with
sleds.
it, Quinn, is people would put it around their wrist and then tie it to themselves. Yeah.
World class, like they used to say, huh? That was the Arctic Cat logo, right?
Still should be, but it's not.
Some might say Arctic World Trash, unfortunately.
They claim it.
All right, Rocco, what's new? Gosh, we haven't rolled a pod in a month, it feels like.
No. I want to welcome everybody back to the podcast. This is Old School Arctic Cats podcast. It's our official podcast channel. So that's good. I want to welcome everybody to that.
Welcome.
What better way to do a podcast than sitting on some old beauties right here? That's the coolest thing about this. We have options now that the garage is somewhat put together. So
We
perfect.
cranked the we cranked the heater for about 20 minutes, and I can't convince Rocky to insulate his ceiling, so
It's up for debate. I don't want to have to deal with it if I have to fix something. But I don't know.
I dressed warm because I know it's going to get cold in here.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping for a rip after this.
It's a work in progress. I'll tell you what, if there was some snow out there, we'd definitely be taking these sleds out for a little rip. That's no joke. There's no time's too late to have fun on a Thundercat.
All right, I'm done with this tether.
Yeah,
Nope, just kidding. I'm doing it. One last hook.
Let me help you.
Hook me up.
What you do is pre-hook it on and slide that over your hand. There you go.
Show me the checkered flag. I'm ready.
Quinn's ready to go now.
Oh, man. Well, how you guys been? I know you can't answer, but I hope you've been good. Gosh, the last two videos we've had over 100 comments in a mere couple hours.
Yep.
So more than ever, I feel like I know you guys, and it's so fun to read through the comments. I'll tell you how this goes. We go out, Rocky and I both work full-time jobs.
That's right.
We'll get into that. I work with Rocky now full-time.
Yeah. It's a relatively new. Well, you worked with me before,
Right.
Then you went on a hiatus and had to go clean garbage cans for a while.
Right.
Thought that wasn't the future of Quinn, so he came back to bare welding, and he's actually doing some great things with bare welding. It's awesome.
Yeah. So anyways, I'll tell you how this goes. I can't remember why I'm saying this, but Rocky and I both work full-time jobs, and we film pretty much Saturday morning, and then I come home. Rocky goes, puts the sleds away,
Yep.
and I start editing. And I'll edit. And, that's where I was going with this. I can't sleep.
Yeah.
You can't sleep either. So I edit this video, usually start on it around 3. I usually have something going on Saturday night, and then I'll start back on it like 9, 10 o'clock. and then I'll crank it out, get it uploaded from the editing software, and then start uploading it to YouTube. And I probably sleep like 2 hours because I just cannot wait for you guys to hop on there and see what we released for the week. And I cannot wait to read your comments. Like,
same.
That's my alarm clock.
I can't wait for the comments too. When we started this journey, I never thought that there was someone as weird as me that had that much passion for these old school Arctic cats. I really didn't. I thought that was just me and my dad just nerding out on these for years, and we've been collecting them and riding them and flipping them and tinkering with them. And I mean, I knew people were into the sport, but I didn't know that there was others that had the same kind of passion like I have,
right.
Or share the same passion as me. There's others, I'm sure, with even more than what I have, but I just love having that common interest with people and having them say awesome things and being able to hear stories about them and people talk about their families and their experiences with Arctic Cat. And a lot of you remember when these sleds were brand new. They were in your heyday when these sleds came out. And I mean, I could only dream about these when I was 10. I couldn't afford them, but they were sure fun. They made such an impression on me that now when I see them as an adult, I try to stack them up.
Yeah, we've got about 5 out here on the driveway right now. We were trying to figure out this layout, and this is where we landed.
Yeah, this is definitely a new thing. It's fun being out in my garage actually and looking around and not seeing all the trash that I had everywhere and all the crazy I had in every like nook and cranny of my walls.
There was triple pipes hanging right above my head about 20 days ago.
Stack of bins of snowmobile parts. I mean, the bins and stuff still exist. They're just in a more organized spot in my shed right now. But yeah, it's super awesome. But gosh, I just can't help but stare at this ZR. I still just can't believe I was able to find one, and it's quite a story with that actually to get. I mean, you guys all saw how we went and picked it up. It was super snowy, slushy. I mean, it was. You just never know what you're really going to get into when you go pick up a snowmobile that doesn't run. And the people that we got this from were great. They watched the channel. They watched that particular video, and they sorry, and they thought it was super cool. They were they became fans, I think, in some form. So it was fun. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah. In full transparency, Rocky's way into these old school Arctic Cats. And full transparency, when I was kind of doing some YouTube stuff prior to this, nothing crazy. I was just kind of dipping my toes in, and he's like, I don't own anything newer than a 08 Arctic Cat. And I'm like, and you want to film that?
Yeah.
No one's going to watch that.
I remember our very first video. We were into weighing snowmobiles, in our first, still am. I mean, it's always an interesting spin on things, but yeah, it was right when the 2024 Catalyst came out, the 600.
Right.
And my daughter, I bought her a 2004 Mountain Cat 600, and it's in really nice shape. And I'm like, man, it's so cool that I have an Arctic Cat that would have been the catalyst of the day, so to speak, 20 years ago. So we felt that it was appropriate to have that be our first video. I gave about a 2-minute speech about it, basically, and weighed it, and it all worked out from there. So
if you've seen that video or if you've watched from that first video, let us know. I'm actually genuinely curious, how many of you found us then. It's only got
stuck around
1,000 views, but I'm sure there's a couple of you that are super loyal old school Arctic Cat fans.
Yeah, it would be interesting to know that. Because then the next video, I ended up thinking, like, man, I got the legendary Thundercat sitting on it right now. And then I also have the M1000, and there was a lot of controversy whether that sled was a lemon or or not. So
Was it a buy or a buy?
was it a buy or a buy? So anyway, I'm like, well, my Thundercat's pretty good. It's pretty peppy for a stock sled. It just has a can on it. My M1000 has quite a bit of work done to it. I mean, it's got the twin Speedworks pipes, Speedworks head. It's got some light porting on it. It's got the V-Force 3 reeds. It's quite snappy, and it's a real snowmobile. But yeah, the traction and everything that was going on, and we didn't know what we were doing. I mean, that was kind of a thrown together video, and we we didn't have anybody to even start us off properly.
I mean, Cade was there.
He would drop his hand, but he would drop it he just didn't know what he was doing either, and there's no fault to him. But it wasn't it wasn't as
a light tree by any means
put together as it probably could have. But it was definitely a real backyard drag race, if you will.
Got to start somewhere.
And the video just started gaining traction.
It took like a day or two. I remember we were like, okay.
Yeah, it was pretty lethargic for the first 24 hours, but it seemed like day 4, all of a sudden it started to spike and really started to go. I'm like, wow, okay. Some people are really, whether it was the thumbnail or just the interest in the 2000, I think it was called the Arctic Cats Legendary 1000s. But
yeah.
Anyway, there's been a bunch of people subscribed off of that video. A lot of people commented about that video, and I think that kind of lit a little bit of a fire that maybe we have something here. So, but yeah, you guys, we're almost to 5,000 subscribers right now. It's been almost a year. It was January when we shot that video, the end of January. So we're coming up to the year mark. We just we have over 50 videos now.
Oh wow!
Some videos.
50? Is that including shorts or long form?
That includes shorts.
Okay.
Our last short video that we just posted was our 51st. The video that I introduced to everyone that we were going to go to Eagle River, or in that area, that was our 50th video. So that was pretty cool.
That's cool. I remember going to work. I mean, we posted that on a Sunday, I think, and then didn't really do anything. And then that Tuesday was kind of taken off, and I remember we both kind of showed up at work like bloodshot eyes, like we'd just kind of been up all night watching that thing just take off, read the comments. And I remember going around work that day and asking people, hey, will you subscribe to our channel?
I remember that too.
Because we were on the verge of getting monetized besides the watch hours.
Yep, I remember that. It took, it was about 6 weeks, which was surprisingly quick, I think, for a YouTube channel. That was another thing that kind of surprised us and surprised me anyway. And again, I didn't realize that there would be that much interest in these old school Arctic Cats still. But yeah, it proves to be something there. So
yeah. Well, anyways, guys, Saturday, this last video, we didn't really know what we were going to film. I mean, our prior video and picking up this ZR, we asked you guys if there was anyone that wanted to invite us out to the Midwest or the East and go snowmobiling, and obviously you guys responded.
Yeah, because at first we thought we were just going to do a ride here in the West.
Yeah,
but we just kind of thought maybe it's more logical, instead of having a lot of people travel. Maybe it's. I mean, I always wanted to go back and go check out Eagle River and all that. I mean, it's famous, but
yeah,
I figured, well, maybe it's better if I just go out and visit them. I usually do a big snowmobile ride every February.
Yeah, my
family and I, we always we either go up to Island Park in Idaho or West Yellowstone, or last year we went to Bear Lake and just kind of stayed around in the Bear Lake area. But so I always plan and budget for a pretty big ride, and this one we're like, shoot.
Yeah, you guys were like,
let's pack up
and go.
Come out here.
There's a lot of people from New York that were like, Tug Hill, and
yeah, Tug
I still
Hill.
need to look that up.
Tug Hill was popular.
I don't know if we can quite swing another 20 hours on top of the 24 we're already going to do to to Michigan and Wisconsin, but
Well, that's the fun of it. I mean, we don't have to cover everything in one trip. There could be more trips available, that we can come out. So
yeah. So we're gonna do the Midwest ride out, and it's looking like we'll probably do a ride in a different area every day. We're gonna try to meet as many people as we can. That's kind of the response we got from you guys.
Yeah, it seemed like a lot of people reached out. A lot of people reached out through email, and it's so awesome to me to be able to read those and to respond. Especially just on a snowmobiling topic. I mean, it's
right.
So
Luckily it's not about work or something.
it's just fun enough to be able to. Gosh, this is what I'm really into as far as just my hobby, and I mean, this really isn't doing much different than what I would have done anyway.
Right.
Picking up this ZR. The only difference between that is usually I'm picking up snowmobiles on like Christmas Eve or some random middle of the night thing with my dad, and he can contest to that.
Got a Maverick or something.
Oh yeah, we're found some deal on the local classifieds, and gosh, we just got to have it. We just can't pass it up. So we fire up the truck and take off Christmas Eve, pick up a new sled, go ride it on Christmas. That's been several occasions. I can honestly think of probably 4 or 5 different snowmobiles I've had with that. I've had, gosh, I think since I've been collecting snowmobiles, I bought my first snowmobile when I was 13. I think I was 13 when I bought my first one. It was kind of I've talked about this before, it was kind of a Frankenstein of a snowmobile. It was a 96 Polaris Ultra with a Arctic Cat Wildcat 700 motor in it, and it had twin chrome pipes, and I was just sold on those pipes. I just had to have it. But since then, I kind of just wanted to collect them. I just couldn't just have one for some reason. I couldn't just settle for one. I had to have multiple. So
you know what they say, it's better to be homeless than chromeless.
That's exactly right. Yeah, that's very true. But I've had, I think this Powder Extreme. I mean, I have a Powder Extreme. It's really fun. I've owned 2 other Powder Extremes that I got in the middle of the night with my dad and my cousin, and they were frozen in like 6 inches of ice, and we went and chopped them. I literally had to use an axe and chop the skis out and the track and everything out of the ice, and brought them home, got them running that weekend, turned around, flipped them, made a little money, went and looked at some more sleds, bought them, kept a hold of them, rode them for 2 years, flipped them. I mean, that's just something that I've just always been doing, and something I've always been interested in. So,
well, anyways, back to my story a little bit. So this last week, after you guys responded to it, we wanted to put out a video of us kind of responding to your response and say, we're coming.
Yep.
Our day started out a little late on Saturday, and we didn't know entirely what we were going to film, and it's going to lead into the CR, but I came over to Rocky's. I told him I'd be over in about 10 minutes. It was already like 10 by then, and
yep.
Once you start filming at 10, it's like, all right, better be on your A game.
What are we going to cover here?
Walk in his garage, and I kid you not, I think I picked Rocky up off the ground. He was in shambles.
Yep. I was pretty bummed out. Yeah, go ahead. What did you see, Quinn? Tell us what you saw.
Well, first off, Rocky's got these really nice lights in here, and they were off. Okay. And I'm like, you're working on your snowmobile in your garage that you just renovated with no lights on. And he's in his sweatpants. I don't even know if he had shoes on. Like, I come out here and he just...
shoes.
Oh, he had shoes on? Okay.
Barely, but they were there.
You could tell he hadn't showered either.
It was a long,
So I'm like, all right. I'm just reading the room a little bit here, And I'm like, Rocco, what's up, man? And he's like, Quinn, I've been up all night. Trying to get this dang clutch off this ZR. I look over, he's got stuff welded to the primary. I'm like, oh, should I go home or do you want to film today? I'll let Rocky tell the rest.
So, yeah, I was pretty upset. So when I went and test drove the sled out in the field, and that was the only time that I've ridden this,
you guys saw that.
I could just tell it didn't have any top end. It had all the rev, but absolutely no top end. It wasn't pulling at all. And I mean, I literally have a tote of clutches. I have probably 4 or 5 primaries and probably at least that many more secondaries that I have to choose from. So, my gosh, I just want to hurry and pull off that clutch. My brother-in-law needed to borrow my clutch puller because he was dealing with a clutch issue on a 2000 powder special, and his clutch was sticking in a few things. But anyway, he had my clutch puller, and he came over. It was during the week. It was like a Wednesday night, and brought over the clutch puller, and I was going to pull the clutch off of this ZR and inspect it, and I was going to see if he wanted to try that out on his powder special, just to see if it made any difference on his sled or not. And he had a question about the bushings. So you guys know when you pull off the primary clutch, there's the main primary bolt that's bolting it right to your crankshaft. And then you have a aluminum spacer, and then there's a nylon spacer. And when he pulled off his powder special clutch, it had the nylon spacer and it had the aluminum spacer. But he had another clutch that he pulled off, and it was missing the nylon spacer. So anyway, I wanted to show him what this ZR had, and I had some other clutches and different things. Anyway, that's how that got started. But he brought over the clutch puller, and he was going to help me pull off that clutch off of the ZR. And if any of you have pulled off a snowmobile clutch, it's kind of violent. You have the puller that is pressing against the crankshaft, the end of the crankshaft, and the inside of the clutch is threaded. So it's literally pulling the clutch right off of the crankshaft with the clutch puller. And anyway, sometimes they come off easy. Sometimes they can be pretty troublesome. Sometimes you have to really wrench on them, tap them with a rubber mallet, and sometimes they pop, and sometimes they don't. And this is one of those times when it did not. I've pulled off several clutches, and I've thought I seen it all. I hadn't. Man, I had so much pressure on this clutch, and at this point I didn't go with any kind of heat. I didn't try that yet, because I was still in my mind, oh my gosh, I just need to go one more turn and keep tapping on it. Well, all of a sudden that clutch, I heard a big bang, and I'm like, oh sweet, it came off. It didn't. What happened was the threads inside that clutch completely stripped. It didn't strip with me turning it. It actually pulled the threads out. I was unwinding threads off of the clutch puller, and I'm like, how am I going to get this thing off now? I'm like, these things are stuck. This ZR's clutch, I don't think it's ever been off since it was installed in 1995 when this sled was actually manufactured. It's a 96 model, but manufactured in 95, and I don't think that clutch has been off since it was put on when it was new. But anyway, what a nightmare. So I put that to the side because I didn't have time to work on it after that. My brother-in-law was like, holy crap. He couldn't believe it. He's like, what the heck just happened? So anyway, I was really like put off by that. I'm like, oh my gosh, how am I going to get this clutch off? I've always been thinking about it. Well, Friday night comes a couple days later. I'm like, gosh, I need to see if I can hit this thing off with a sledgehammer and a 2x4, but the motor's in the way, the pipe's in the way. You just can't really get at it, and you can't pry. I mean, you're prying against your bulkhead, and that's risk cracking it and doing things, or heaven forbid you slip and it puts a hole right through your cylinder that you're really right against, or just putting uneven pressure on your crankshaft's not that good. So I was like, man, my dad came over and he's like, let's just sawzall your clutch in half. And I'm like, he's like, you might just end up having to grind your clutch off. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't want to go down that road. I mean, I was working in a welding shop for like 15, 17 years now. I know what a grinder's like, and I know what kind of a mess that thing leaves. And I'm right next to, there's gas, there's oil. I'm like, the fire hazard goes through the roof when you have to get a grinder involved, because you can't find every spark. There's always that one that could get away from you. Don't matter how much fire protection you have or your fire watch, but
every good garage has got a couple gas cans around too.
Gosh. So, oh yeah, you got everything. So anyway, I got an old t-shirt, got it soaking wet. I mean, dripping. Laid that thing over the motor, laid it over the throttle bodies and all the fuel lines, and I'm like just covering everything that could possibly catch a loose spark. Anyway, I'm sawzalling it, the clutch in half, and I went right where the belt rides. I didn't cut the sheaves and stuff in half. I went right on the shaft that normally the bolt would slide through. It's right where your belt rides. Anyway, I slice that off, and I start carving around the shaft with a cutoff wheel on a grinder, just going careful. And I would rotate it and grind and rotate it and grind and rotate it and grind. And it's just getting later and later. And my dad's like, Rocky, we just got to quit. It's 1:30 in the morning, and I'm like, I got to get this thing off, Dad. I want this thing off. For some reason, I just get something stuck in my head, and I just want to, it just irks at me so bad, I just can't shut it off until someone either makes me, or if I just flat out just can't go anymore. But
yeah, you can either keep working on it or go lay in bed and keep thinking about it.
You got it. Yeah, and I'm sure everyone can relate. But, well, of course, I had a kind of a sleepless night, and I'm like, gosh, I just need to go to a hardware store. I need to go to a hardware store. I know I could just weld a hardened bolt and a nut on the end of that and just pull it right off. I know I can. So, of course, the nearest hardware store didn't open until like 9 a.m. the next morning. And get out there, get the bolt, I got a coupling nut because there was more threads on it. It was a deeper nut. So anyway, I put a ton more pressure on it, and I used a little propane heat torch. I was torching around it, rotated the clutch, torch, rotate, torch, cranked on the bolt. So I was doing like this simultaneous little dance with this clutch, and all of a sudden, the bolt snaps off.
A grade 8 hardened bolt.
Grade 8 hardened bolt. All of a sudden, it was like crack, broke. I'm like, oh my gosh. And this is Saturday morning. Like I said, Quinn said he was coming over, and that's about when Quinn arrived. It was about 10 minutes after that bolt broke off.
Right at the pinnacle.
So I told Quinn, I'm like, Quinn, I am having I'm having a meltdown, dude. And I'm like, don't judge what I say in the next 20 minutes. And Quinn's like, Rocco, what's wrong? And I showed him, and he is seeing this, I mean, massive amount of weld, because that bolt and that nut, every time I put more tension, it was like wanting to break the welds off of this thing. I'm like, what the heck? And I just kept adding and adding, and I thought for sure just the heat of the weld alone would have just been enough to release this beast, but dang, it was stuck. So anyway,
Well, we walked away from it for a minute.
I just told him, like, I can't stare at this anymore. I'm like, I just got to look at something else.
It's like, go in and get yourself cleaned up. We got a video to film.
Yeah. He's like, what are we going to film? And I'm like, well, let me go clean up and get ready, and I'll think about it. So anyway, we came up with the video and everything. And I that really lightened the mood. And I'll tell you why. It's because I knew if we got the video out, I knew we'd get comments, and I knew we'd get emails, and I knew that it would remind me on why I'm doing it. and why I'm doing what I'm doing. And it all worked out. That that afternoon, I went back at it with the grinder. Got the video done. I took a deep breath. I'm like, all right, I'm going to go at this thing with the grinder again. And I was just grinding right around so carefully, so surgically. I mean, I didn't want to touch that crankshaft, and you can't see where the crankshaft really is. By cutting the clutch in half, I was able to see the end of the crankshaft. So that's why I wanted to do it, because I wanted to be really strategic on where I was putting that grinder. And I did a pretty good job. It ended up working out. Grinding it, heat, and me just tapping on that clutch. And all of a sudden, I couldn't hear anything over the grinder, but all of a sudden, it was like I could tell that the clutch rotated on the shaft. It's like I could tell it moved. Anyway, I seriously just grabbed that with my hands and my gloves and pulled on it, and it came right off. So then I was really excited, and I'm like, sweet, this is gonna happen now. Because usually it's the secondary clutch, and I know you guys know that secondary clutches seize up on these old snowmobiles all the time. That's what usually gets seized. And there's no real good way to pull them off. And there is a puller that you can buy specifically to pull them off, but it's not a common tool that everyone has in their toolbox. I don't even have one, but the secondary clutch came right off. It was the original button style secondary. And I wanted to put an updated Arctic Cat roller clutch on it, where the helix actually goes back and forth on rollers. And I had one. I threw it on, and I had a primary clutch off of a 94 ZR 700. And it was a newer style clutch. It wasn't the 9 tower. It wasn't the old, like, Comet 6 tower. It was the newer 6 tower Arctic Cat clutch. And I kept that, thinking that I might use it on this Thundercat or for a rainy day or a snowy day. And I had no idea what weights. I had no idea what spring. And I threw that primary on this ZR along with that secondary. And I'm not even kidding you guys. This ZR rips. It has everything. It has bottom end, it has top end, and it has everything in between. It is such a cool, fast snowmobile. It is.
You went and ripped it.
It was really surprising. That afternoon, I couldn't wait. As soon as I got that thing put together, I called my dad. I'm like, hey, you already have your ZRT out, because you guys saw that we pulled that out of his shop. And I'm like, let's go put some miles on your ZRT real fast. And I'm like, I want to try out this ZR. And my brother has a 98 Cougar that hasn't ran in like a year and a half.
Since the last time our first ride, probably. Or maybe.
Yeah.
Was it?
I think we went to Bear Lake once after that. So it's been on one other ride, but
gotcha.
We call that sled the Weed Whacker.
Or Mud Flap.
Or Mud Flap. That one rides on the front of the open face trailer, and I'm sure all of you guys know what that's all about. But anyway, we went and tested this out, and this ZR rips, man. I was having so much fun. Handled good. Everything was perfect on it. I didn't put a lot of miles on it because the speedometer's not currently working on it, and I want to dig into that too. But everything seemed good with the motor. I was pleasantly surprised. It was worth all the trouble. It was worth all the stress and the headache. And with a video got released on Sunday, and it's just been up and up from there. But it's been awesome.
Yep. This is where the ZR almost ruined your weekend. It completely redeemed itself.
I mean, that's the hard thing about these older sleds, is that they are getting older, they're getting rustier, they're getting tougher, they're tougher to find the nice ones. And when you find one that's in decent shape and it has a couple little issues, it's all worth it when these things run, because the fun factor is there. It's the same amount of fun as to me, it's just as much fun as a $20,000 sled. For me, it's just the same. It's
same.
Me cruising down the trail on this. I'm like, gosh.
Oh yeah, when we go unload, when we go unload somewhere, what's the first thing? Whoa, Firecat! Whoa, Thundercat!
Yeah. What when we had that 79 Panther out, that thing turned heads. I mean, here's Quinn with his turboed Alpha.
They're like, who cares about that? What's that pink thing?
What's that pink and black big grill coming down the trail? It's pretty cool. I don't know. It's pretty fun.
It's awesome.
But yeah, that's the hot topic right now is this ZR. So
yep. Golly. So with our podcast, we're able to actually take call-ins. We need to figure out the technology behind that.
we're new to this.
Yeah.
Be patient with us.
Yeah.
But we're loving it.
I hope the camera's still going, honestly.
It's a thing.
Yeah. But in the meantime, if there's questions or things you guys, send us a voice memo, send us something, and we can actually play these while we're going here and kind of respond to your specific questions. We try to respond to every comment.
It's a lot more personal if we can do it live
Right.
like this. And quite frankly, it's easier to explain it, when instead of having to put it in words like that. So yeah, heck
exactly.
yeah, that would be super fun, you guys. And I know there's been people that's been reaching out about some tech questions. A gentleman was asking about some stator questions and how you can test those, and there's been some clutching questions and some jetting questions, and I don't know everything, but I'm pretty well rounded with these old Arctic cats. I've owned enough of them that I kind of know what works and what don't work with them. So, and I would be more than happy to talk with you guys, and if I don't have the answer, sometimes I know who does. So
Yeah, there was a gentleman in I can't even remember what the town name was up there in Canada. He's like, Rocky, I'm gonna go look at a
Pantera.
Thunder couch.
A Thunder
right?
couch, that's right. Pantera 1000. Yeah, that's right.
And yeah, he got a hold of us through email, and Rocky and him talked on the phone. And
Yep.
shout out to that guy. He sent us a really cool video.
Yeah.
And did you ever send him what we have, or we still need to?
I still need to. We're working on some products and stuff like you said. We got a line of merch coming. Some other products and different things that we want to sell, and I didn't have it quite finalized yet with how to ship it exactly and a few different things, but it's coming. I have his name, I have his address, so be patient with me. It is coming. So
Cool. I have another question for you guys. So out there where we're going to Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Michigan.
Yep.
In our analytics of our YouTube, we can see what the most popular channels you guys watch. Rednecks and Dirty Hands, Two Vintage,
Yep.
Muskoka Freerider, Chris Brandt,
Todd Klein.
Todd Klein. Yeah, Todd Klein.
Todd Klein. Yeah, he seems like an awesome guy.
Yeah.
He seems like me on the. He does a lot more custom builds, but he cherishes those old wedges, man, which is super cool. I like that.
What's up, my 1111?
YouTubers?
Yeah.
I love that.
Anyways, my question to you guys is, do you have any people you follow that's in those areas? We want to collaborate. We want to do a podcast. I think we've already got one or two lined up while we're out there. We're going to film. I'm sure we'll be filming a podcast rolling down the road out there. Good heck, we got 24 hours.
We got plenty of time to sit and talk about it, so why not?
But if you have any people that you're friends with, or racers, old racers, Hibberts, good heck, I think they live out there.
I would be blown away if anybody got me in contact with any of the Hibberts. So
yeah, help us.
That would be awesome.
We just help us connect with whoever's out there.
Yeah, that would be fun. It would be really cool. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this trip. I know a lot of people have concerns about snow and whether the snow thing lets us down or not. I think just being able to go see the museums. I really want to go see the Arctic Cat headquarters. If I could get a tour into there, that would really be awesome. But if we could make this dinner happen alone, you guys, that would be well worth the trip in itself. So the snowmobiling would be the gravy on top, but it's more than that at this point.
We just want to meet you guys. That's really what it comes down to.
Yeah, and we just don't have that many snowmobiling events out here in the West. I mean, we have the Snowmobile Expo in Snow West, or in West Yellowstone. I mean, that's a pretty big event. We have some littler expos that come through town once in a while, the Snow West Expo and a few things, but you guys have like these giant vintage rides, and you have this really, you have a bigger snowmobiling community that does more together. We're trying to implement that out in the West with these different snowmobile clubs and the things, but it's not as
good old boy.
Yeah, it's a little bit different feel, which is fine. And but I think you guys have where it's at, where you have all the snowmobiling communities that really thrive and come together and do some stuff.
True. Yeah, we kind of surprised you guys with this, that we were coming out there. It only made sense all week. I mean, after we launched the video Sunday, I think we called each other and we were like, yeah, we're going to the Midwest. These people, we got to meet them. And we are still doing a Western ride out. We've had some people from Canada. They're like, we're 16 hours away and we're coming. You let me know the day. We got a guy from Missouri that's like, let me know. I'll get my flights.
He's like, let me know and I'll be there. So we'll definitely put something together where we're from. It'll probably be late. Luckily, our snow stays longer here. Our snowpack is critical to our survival out here in the West. So we're thinking in mid or the end of March is kind of what I'm thinking. The days will be longer. The weather will be a little warmer. It will just be still a really good, fun experience when there's always plenty of snow. So
tons of snow. Like you can ride clear till June around here.
Yeah, we've done that several times. And right now we're kind of in a low for snow. And we say that because we don't have snow in our front yards. But you look up in our mountains and our peaks, they're white. there's plenty of snow up there. It's just a little lower than what we're used to, or it's just starting a little later. I've noticed that as well. Sometimes when we get a later start, it stays longer because we get the storms later in the year. March typically can add to our snowpack quite a bit. Even April,
almost double.
April can do it too. So we can get
those spring storms. There's so much just moisture in the snow that I really think sometimes it doubles our snowpack.
Yeah, sometimes
March, April.
Yeah, you bet.
It gets deep.
Yeah.
Yeah, we haven't even. Well, I think once at work we've broke out the plow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we haven't had to shovel much, which is fine with me.
Yeah, no kidding. Get there at 6:30 and that's always fun, getting on your plow and
let's unbury all the steel that we're gonna run over throughout the week if we don't uncover it. So
yeah, all this in the spring you'll see that big pile melt down.
Yeah, we build mountains just in our driveways. There's my close neighbor right here. He's a super cool guy, super great family. Our driveways touch, and when we shovel, we have like this wall that goes in between our properties. And sometimes it gets so big you can't even see each other. Sometimes it snows. It snows a lot, but
I like seeing what treasures are in those snow mounds after the year.
Yeah.
At work, I'll see like handrails that we're supposed to go on a job, and we're like, "Where'd this go?" And we got to rebuild it.
Yeah. Something that got damaged when you're plowing around. Yeah, it happens. So,
right on. Yeah, speaking of work, Rocco, we're coworkers again.
Yep,
it's awesome.
It is cool. Yeah, it's really fun. Yeah, Quinn's doing a lot of. He's doing a lot of. How would you call that for bear welding?
Videography, I guess.
Yeah, it's been really awesome. I mean, I've worked for Bear Welding now since 2008. I started there when I was 19. I really couldn't imagine working anywhere else, especially, I mean, Brian Bear, he's an awesome guy. My coworkers I've worked with for years and years, and we have a good thing going there, and I love it. So I'm lucky. I really am lucky to have such a good job. It's been fun.
Yeah, it's incredible. The first time Rocky and I ever had a somewhat lengthy conversation was we were down at a job in St. George, Utah, and
Yep.
I was down there filming just some stuff for my own channel. I had a drone and I trailered my side-by-side down there, and I wanted to go film some stuff, and I was kind of showing Rocky some of the footage after, and
Yep.
yeah, he's like,
I've always been interested in drones. I don't know how to fly them. That's all Quinn. But video editing and drones and all that kind of stuff has always piqued my interest because I think it's super cool because I've seen the videos that come from it. And here's this guy staying up half the night editing a video with his drone, and a couple other coworkers went out and had an awesome time. And oh my gosh, I just felt like I wanted to be a part of it, but I didn't know how. But and I've always I thought, man, I've always thought about doing a YouTube channel about just my Thundercat in general. And anyway, I just started talking to Quinn about it one day, and one thing led to another, and he invited me to go snowmobiling with his dad. And I've known Quinn's dad for 15 years probably, and anyway, went and had a great time and saw Quinn just flying his drone and watching him do it. And then I watched the video after he edited it, and I'm like, gosh, that is so cool. I want to be a part of that. And one thing led to another, and here we are. So
yeah, Rocky was like, you like YouTube? And I was like, I like YouTube like you like Arctic Cats.
that's exactly what he's told me. He's like, Rocky, I like YouTube and doing YouTube videos like you like old school Arctic Cats. And I'm like, there's no way. But here he is. He's still sticking around. So I'm like, sweet. And the random thing is too, you guys, out of the Ski-Doo and the Polaris crowd and how prevalent they are and how Ski-Doo just really owns the market share. Here's Quinn, and he's like, I like Arctic Cat. And he's like, I've owned several Arctic Cats. I mean, newer ones like Pro Climbs and a couple Alphas. And I'm like, no way. Out of all the brands, you like Arctic Cat too? I mean, Quinn, you didn't even know what a Thundercat was.
I remember at work, you're like, you like Arctic Cat? I'm like, yeah, like Alphas. And he's like, you ever heard of have you ever ridden a Thundercat? And I'm like, never even heard of it.
Yep. So true, you guys. And then I think in that second video we launched when we were racing my M1000, I'm like, here, go take this thing out in the field. And he came back and he was smiling. He's like, this thing pulls hard. And they do. There's just something else about a Thundercat. They're just loud, fast, low, and heavy, but they're fast.
One thing Rocky and I always talk about is Arctic Cat fans. And because like I said earlier, I was like, Rocky, you're delusional, man. Who the heck is going to watch you, for one? I'm just kidding.
Right.
watch you ride old snowmobiles? Like, it did not compute in my head.
Yep.
And he's like, Arctic Cat people are the most passionate people out there.
And we are, man.
All right.
Anybody that's into, I mean, people that are really into Arctic Cats are really into them from what I gather. And I just didn't think there was that many of us still. That was that was the unknown. I'm like, I know they're out there because I met them. You know, we collaborate with each other around here, and I know who they are. But it's a handful. And then to see all you guys comment and stuff, I'm like, oh yeah, we're still out there. We're still strong. And I hope that can really make a presence on Arctic Cat, and hopefully they stick around for a long time to come. So
I've been seeing a couple comments that the people are like, well, I've been kind of a mainly yellow and blue guy all my life, but man, that green's really got me thinking or
Yeah.
something. They always leave clever comments like that.
Or I love also getting the comments when people are like, I have an old Arctic cat in the back shed or whatever. Maybe you guys have really started to make me want to go start one. Or people are like, I find myself searching Craigslist looking for old school Arctic cats. I'm like, perfect. Heck yeah. Keep them alive. Keep them going.
Yeah, it's interesting. Your guys' markets, we've talked about it before. Your guys' old snowmobiles are like quadruple the price of ours. It's weird.
We're lucky that we live where we live and these old sleds still made it out here. But like I explained in that last video, they're still treasures. They're still awesome. It has nothing to do with that. It's just they're not that practical because I am an unusual guy that just didn't catch on the bandwagon of having to go through 5 feet of powder every time I go ride. I mean, I love it and I'll do it. And I have an awesome ZRT Thundercat swapped thing over there, and that just gives me all the thrills I want. But yeah, these low fast ones are really fun. Just trail riding to me is cool. Just getting out and going and I don't know, just cruising on an old ZR and a Thundercat just really is cool.
It's definitely been a knack I've had to get used to.
It's just a different way of doing it.
It's way fun though. I think when I was like, oh dang, I want to go for hundreds of miles on these when I rode a Firecat.
Yeah.
I was like, Rocky, I could seriously ride this for hundreds of miles. This is like the funnest thing ever.
Yeah, Firecats, you guys this was the first time I ever rode a Firecat. Of course I know what they were. Of course I was like dumbfounded when they first came out. I mean, 2003, I was a teenager. I knew exactly what those things were, and it took me buying one, just like this Thundercat. It took me buying one to finally ride one, and those Firecats are no joke. They're fast. The 2003 is an interesting setup with the 151. If I was to be truthful, I wish it didn't have the 151 on it, because the 04 is just the 144 extension. And that thing is so nimble. I mean, I just feel like I could corner on that thing like no one else. And just, it's fast. It has a lot of top end. I can just tell it has legs. Like, I cannot wait to line this Thundercat up with some of those Firecats, because I think this Thundercat's going to have its hands full. I think if it's not on its A game, it's going to be tough in a short race. It's going to be tough. I've only tasted those Firecats a little. I need to ride them more. And from the taste I've gotten, I'm like, wow, this thing pulls. It pulls pretty good.
Yeah, we haven't really had a racetrack to ride right now.
Usually I can just go right across the street and go have tons of fun out there and go race the cars. I want to race cars on those Firecats too. That was a ton of fun.
The neighbors love it. I've seen you guys comment that. You're always like, I hope you have good neighbors.
Yeah,
they're the best. They haven't said a word yet.
I don't think they know what to think. I don't think they know what it is, because when they think of a snowmobile, they think that sucker should have a mile-long track and like 3-inch tall paddles. I think this must be some sort of a four-wheeler or something to them.
A Banshee.
I have no idea, but knock on wood, I haven't seen any cops or anybody complain too much, and I try to be respectful of them in the neighborhood. I want the neighborhood to like old school Arctic cats and not push me out of here. So,
right. Pray awesome. For snow. Good grief. We need to get the racetrack going out there.
Yeah, we need snow everywhere, you guys. I hope it's coming. Hopefully it's going to be around. So we need to go ride some more, and I just cannot. There's quite a bit for me to do before this trip. A lot of people have been commenting about carbides on these skis, and I mean, we just don't think like that. I mean, I've gone snowmobiling with snowmobiles with no skags at all. I mean, in deep powder, you don't really need them, but gosh, you guys are mentioning about those sharp, icy corners, and I could just see myself like, dude, if I blow through a corner, I would be terrified. But luckily, I'm a pretty conservative rider, especially in a new area. I don't just go rip too crazy. But yeah, I'll definitely check out the carbides, check out the high faxes, My Thundercat has ice scratchers already on it. I would be curious, you guys, if a 121 track like this ZR, if it would need ice scratchers. Anyway, I got a little bit of homework to do. I got a little bit of work to do, and we'll keep you guys posted on upcoming videos. But I sure appreciate you guys listening, and this is something that we want to do often with the podcast, and we have a guest list that we need to.
It's long.
It is long, and we have a lot of people we want to talk with, and
we have some huge names just within 10 minutes of us.
You guys, my next door neighbors over here, the Zollingers, they are race royalty around here in the hill climbing circuits. I mean, they've been doing that for 30 years, and I would love to get those guys and talk to them on the podcast, and there's several others. A lot of guys that have owned Arctic Cat dealers in the past. There's several, so stay tuned. There's going to be more than just me and Quinn on here, I promise.
Yeah, you can't watch a Jackson Hole hill climb video without seeing the last name Zollinger.
Yeah, especially in the 2000s, I'll tell you. 90s and 2000s, it was Zollinger. And there was a lot of upcoming names that came. I mean, Dave McClure was a big hill climber. Keith Curtis, the Archibalds. There's so many. I mean, Brett Rasmussen was huge. He was a big influence on the hill climbing circuit. Those guys are all still around. They're not too far from us, so we'll reach out.
Yep, we're crossing our fingers we can get Dave McClure on here.
Yeah,
Rocky went up and actually met him this summer.
Yeah, Dave McClure was a great guy. It was such a random connection. Mentioned my neighbors that our driveways touch, and I was talking to my neighbor, his wife, and she's like, I'm from Swan Valley, and she's like, one of my good high school friends married Dave McClure. And I'm like, what? I'm like, Dave McClure, like snowmobile guy? She's like, I don't know. I think he has a bunch of snowmobiles. I'm like, hang on. Pull up Dave McClure's profile. This guy? She's like, yeah, that's him. That's Dave. I'm like, oh my goodness. Anyway, she's like, we can go out there. She's like, let's go to the farm. So we went out to the farm, and she's been wanting us to go out there, and their property goes right along the Snake River. Super awesome place up in Swan Valley, and she was so nice, and they were so nice. They knew I was geeking out over him, just being an Arctic Cat guy, and she's like, hey, Dave, I got my neighbor. He's a fan of yours. And Dave was so welcoming. My wife, my kids, everybody just went into his garage, and we saw he had a lot of awesome stuff, of course, and he had a lot of cool things to talk about, and kind of collaborated with him and told him what I was doing. And I just asked him if he'd be on the podcast one time, and I think he will. He just has to make schedules and stuff work. He's quite a bit further north of us, about 3 hours north. But anyway, this will be awesome. That's just the beginning. So,
Yep. Now we've got an official Old School Arctic Cats podcast. So subscribe, and always leave us a comment. We always try to get back to you, but sometimes they pile up a little too far. So we'll always give you a good heart on there, though. We read them all.
Yep,
so if you see the heart, we've read it.
Yeah, for sure. Yep. Okay. Catch you guys on the next one.